Hello and welcome to the Pit Village podcast. Thanks a lot for joining in. It's a bit of a hard topic today. I've got a couple of questions to start with. So, how do you overcome the feeling of just wanting to die? How do you find purpose when everything just seems so futile? And how do you not only survive those moments in your life, but how do you become better for them? And come back as a stronger person. So I've got a hard topic today. Please bear with me. It is an emotional one. It's not really something I don't feel I'll take you back to when times were good, should I? Let's start with a nice little story of the 24-year-old me. So back in early 2018, I took a part-time job in a local warehouse after quitting my job as a graduate recruiter. Really, good career. And I wanted to start my own business. I just studied a diploma in digital marketing, and then I just decided to start a little digital marketing agency. So off I went, selling anything I could to anybody that'd take it, writing content, designing websites, logos and imagery and managing social media. I just become a generalist. I didn't set myself up well. I was already £12,000 in debt from a previous gambling addiction, over the last sort of 4 years previous. Thankfully, I'd stopped gambling, but I took on another £15,000 loan with the intent to pay off that debt, but then I never did. So it took me up to £32,000 in debt, 24-year-old. I just started a business, 32 grand after the interest. And yeah, excellent start, I guess. But April came, I did £2,000 in that month. I'd only started a couple of months previous, maybe in the January of that year. And, 3-4 months in, I'm earning 2 grand, everything's well. I sort of get myself a little house, start paying the bills. May rolls round, I did another £2,000, so things were looking up. I was sustaining, obviously, £700 a month in bills, loans, so, and then obviously the bills to the house. But no real long-term thought into, right, I've got to pay tax on this money, I'm going to have to do this, da-da-da. Not really building a business for the long term, just going out, selling things, getting the money, and moving on and having to sell more services. And then I get a call towards the end of May, and they say, Carl, I'm like, yeah, it's your dad. He's dead. And I sort of stood there in disbelief. 1 minute your life's, going well, and you're swimming every day, and you're running a little business finally, everything that you wanted to do. You've got your own house for the first time. And suddenly your world sort of comes crashing down. 3 weeks after that, I would have not have recognised myself. All the good habits that I've been building for the months previous all just fell by the wayside, and I slowly become another person, essentially. So yeah, my dad did not have much to do with me through my life. He was a regular sperm donor, as they would say. But this guy, I don't know how to describe him. He'd slept with all the best looking women in the village, let's put it that way. He was just full of potential, really high IQ, really intelligent. But his life were an absolute mess, He didn't have anything. He was 50-year-old at the time of his death. Maybe 5 kids, 3 to 4 different women. I was the only kid at the funeral, so I think that says enough about that. He never had much to do with any of his children. But again, extremely intelligent, but never had nothing in his life. It sort of stopped me in the street. Oh, Carl, I'm going to be a millionaire by this time next year. I get my wagon back next week. I'm going to start scrapping again. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'll start sending you 20 quid every single day. And then you see him, and, the next time, and it'd be, he were always a mess off his head on amphetamines, or he were a heroin addict. So this guy was just a drug addict. He were a maverick. He'd come and knock on my mum's house when I was 16, 17 year old. Oh, are you coming down to London with me? I'm like, yeah, I've got college tomorrow, mate. Oh, come on, we'll go down to London. A couple of joints in Camden Town. Walking down Camden Town. Getting sleepers. We'll sleep in Builder's Yard. Getting sleeping bags in Builder's Yard when they're done. Like, no, mate. So, I mean, that gives you a little bit of backstory on this guy. You know, he once offered me heroin and crack cocaine when I was about, 18-year-old. I mean, obviously I refused. I wasn't stupid, but again, only 17. I never even cut him out of my life because of that. He was so charismatic. I kept giving him chance after chance after chance to reconcile with his son, and you think he would have wanted to do that, but he never really did. And then, obviously, he died. He was found overdosed on heroin. I think they found him in a car somewhere in Sandal and Agbrug near Wakefield, and it is what it is. I had to go through the funeral and go through all that ordeal. It didn't hit me too hard to begin with, but then what happened is, it just all kicked in at once. It was like the pressure from I'd just formed a business. I'd just started getting by myself. I'd just have all these bills from this house. I'm £32,000 in debt. And then boom, you get told that your dad's died. Fair enough, you've not had much to do with me, but it's your blood. It's you start questioning your own life. You start thinking, right, well, I'm going to die. I don't know. It changes you as a person, particularly if it's unexpected and you're in your 20s and you're young. You shouldn't have to lose a parent at that age. I know it happens, but it happens, and people suffer through it, and you've got to learn to live with that, and eventually you do become a better person. So, yeah, I mean, it did kick in, all the pressure from the business. I just exploded, to be honest. Oh, one day, I headbutted the window, smashed on my nose, and nose bleeding all over. I mean, I just become self-destructive, self-hating, self-loathing, all the bad selves that you've got, all the things that I just hated myself. Just self-destructive, and it was just like, it was selfish in many ways, because it was, the world's against me, and how has this happened to me? Why am I in this position? But it was my responsibility, my life to that point. I had taken on all that debt. I had been a gambling addict. I put myself in that position, and it was time for the rooster to come home, or whatever they say. It's like I had to face facts. I got myself into this point through the last 5 years choice that I've made, whether quitting the jobs and being unstable and not taking on responsibility for my money, not saving, not being have the financial acumen to just put a couple £100 a month away and save for the long term. Always the short term thinking, gambling in particular. So, I mean, what more did I expect? It wasn't just the death, it was the pressure from everything. And then I just exploded. So I lost the business, and, my partner left me, and, we're arguing all the time, and I just sort of pushed everybody away. I hit the wall, broke my hand, couldn't do any work anyway, stopped doing cold calls, stopped getting any work. I'd not set my business foundations where anybody were paying me on a residual or continual basis. It were all just earned money, going out into the market. Let me do you this, give me £200, see you later, off you go. So I didn't have the gumph to get back on phone. I didn't even want to really be alive, I'll tell you the truth. It was just like, what is the point? I'm going to die. I am going to die one day. So, like, this guy just died unexpectedly, kind of unexpectedly, I always sort of knew in my head that it could happen, I guess. He was a heroin addict, so, yeah, there wasn't really much there anyway. But after it happened, it all hit, and eventually I had to do an IVA on the money, so nearly declare myself bankrupt in essence. I was just ignoring bills, so I had like a year's, 6 months worth of bills that were on the door. So I owed loads to the electric company, to the water, to the council tax, all this. So, it took me a while, about 8 to 9 months. And in May 2019, I got a job, a 3-month contract in Leeds. And on the train on the way there, I seen my dad's identical twin. So they were identical twins. They both led similar lifestyles. But it sort of sorted himself out. He got a job in Leeds. He's gone back to the ex-missus who we had kids with. And we reconciled. And, this was his twin. We got on the train together to work. And over the, I got a 3-month contract from June to the end of August. And we would sort of go to yoga together. We just talked. I think there's that biological component in life that he understood me in ways that nobody else, he understood parts of me that nobody else can understand, because we were the same, you know. And yeah, so we were getting on the train together, going to the local yoga studio, doing some yoga, doing some boxing. Obviously, I was swimming at this point. I got myself back into a decent routine. I was working again. I was reading again. I wanted to get back into business. The fire were back. And I was coming back to my old self, you know. All the stuff that had happened the previous year had only made me stronger, in essence, because I've been through it. And I know that, like, I've lost the business. I've come back. I've got a job. I'm in marketing now. I'm doing a marketing job. This is where I need to be, getting a little bit of experience. Let's see what I can do. Start reading again. You know, I'm sort of replace the relationship I could have had with, you know, my father with his identical twin. And I think in many ways, you know, he replaced the relationship that he had with his twin with me. I mean, we had the same name, Carl, and he lost out more than anybody in my eyes, because if you grow up with somebody, they're your identical twin, and then they suddenly die, it can't be good, can it? And I didn't have much to do with my father anyway, so I didn't feel as though I'd lost out on much, but he'd obviously lost out on just about himself. I mean, they're inseparable, these people, for 50 years, so who had lost more than him? And, you know, in many ways, again, there's only things that your biological relative can understand about you from that side of you, and I think we got on, and we got that from each other. Just looking back, we got that from each other. We sort of utilised that relationship to fill a little bit of a void, I guess, and it was good. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it was good to not only, I wasn't replacing the fact that he had died. I was getting something that I never had. I never really had a relationship with him that was based on, you know, sort of sobriety, in essence. And so the end of August comes, and obviously my job was 3 months. I get told on the Friday that the week following would be my last week, that the last week in August would be my last week. It wasn't to be extended. And that was sort of expected. Again, I wanted to go back into business. I never want to work for anybody else, you know, in an organisation and all this. I wanted to work for myself again, go back into business. And I took the news well. I wasn't bothered about it. I don't take jobs too serious. I know I could have moved on and got something else. I didn't particularly mould well into that team and into that organisation. And it was fine. I took it well, and I thought, right, go get another job, or I'll get back into business and let's see where I am. I had a bit of money saved up to cover the bills for a month. And so I get home on that Friday and I get a text message. What are you up to? It was from Wayne. And I was just arguing with the missus. I didn't message him back, you know. I just got on with my miserable weekend, arguing about bills and over other crap. And then on Sunday, I just get a casual call from one of my cousins, from my mother's side. And he's like, "Do you know about Wayne Langman? He's died last night." And, yeah, I got the news yet again. My heart sort of sunk. It was like, well, not again, you know, like, I'd just lost the father and then lost the business. And then, you know, fair enough, I'd lost my job, but I had to go through the same fate. It was like, fair enough, you know, sort of opposite. I went through the bereavement and then lost the business. And then this time I lost my job and went through the bereavement. So, like, obviously I fell back into a depression. Like, the video games come back out and all that. I just sort of, thankfully this time I did stay sober. So I wasn't smoking, I wasn't drinking, I was completely sober. And I wasn't in the debt anymore. So I didn't have all this pressure. I was still ready to start a business. And the anger, the resentment, the self-hate, it just, rather than getting back into that situation, I knew that, right, I can't land myself back there. I just got out of that, just got a job. Right, he's died, right, that's it. It's over. That relationship is over. That side of my family is done with. Like, it's up to me now to continue the, whatever. And that's it. And my relationship with death had already changed when I got the first. You get the first news of death, it's like, well, oh God, I'm gonna die. Your relationship with death changes when somebody close to you dies, because you're like thinking, oh my God, he was here yesterday, or we should have had the next 20 years together, and now we're not. So what if people could be this, I don't know. It just changes you as a person in that respect. But what happened in the second instance, once I lost the job and I lost and Wayne died, it just fair enough. I fell back into a bit of depression, went back into the video games. But I'll be honest, I went round to a friend's and he said, I'm starting my own business. I'm doing a courier service. I'm like, right, that's good. But you know what, mate? I want to start my own business as well. To be honest, I'm glad you've said that to me, Si. Thank you. I'll do you a website if you want. So I did my friend a website, and then somebody randomly messaged me on Facebook. Hi, mate, can you do me a website? Okay, mate, I'll do it for £200. So, I get back into business and I start Prospect 27. So, just a shout out to a sponsor, prospect27.co.uk. Pay monthly websites, £30 a month. Updated for you on a monthly basis. Prospect27.co.uk. But yeah, I started my business and, beginning of 2020, I bounced back. I didn't land myself back in that place. And, the person I was before those deaths, he didn't exist anymore. The person I was before the first death, but before the person I was after the first death, but before the second death, he no longer existed. And the person I was before both of the deaths, he no longer existed. And you know what? The person who I was at the beginning of 2020 to the person I am now, they're different people as well. So, those versions of me, those earlier selves, my 24-year-old self, he had to die. He had to be shattered. He had to go through that. He had to be humbled. He had to handle all that pressure for me to be able to get to this point. I had to set my business up wrong for me to set my business up right. I had to handle the emotional struggle of a death and battling with my conscience and how I feel about death and life to get to the point I'm at now, where I'm content with the day, where I can work for the long term. I don't have to shield my emotions and this sort of stuff through maybe smoking cannabis and drinking alcohol and these sort of things that we do to protect ourselves from ourselves. This has been a hard subject for me to cover today, and I've not stuck to the script. Should have only been 10 minutes. And I want to bawl my eyes out, but it is what it is. These people are dead, and you've just got to deal with it. And if anybody is out there today is suffering, what can I say? What can I really say? Don't keep it to yourself. Always speak with other people. We all go through things like this. Let the emotions flow. Never let it sit inside. All you're going to do is self-destruct in the end. Time does not heal. Things do not get easier. You just become stronger. You'll become stronger. You're able to deal with the pain. And you create yourself a life that is worth living through this struggle. You'll recognize that life is fair enough, it's a struggle, it's pain, it's torture, but you need to handle the burden, the responsibility, you need to shoulder that burden and the responsibility of that to make things worth it. You need enough responsibility, you need goals, you need a purpose, you need these things. And for me, I get joy from what I can provide to other people. So maybe explore that idea and just remember that no matter what, there's always hope. There's always a reason to carry on. So stay blessed. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.